September 8, 1900, the town of Galveston, Texas was slammed with a Category 4 hurricane. Commonly known as the Great Hurricane, the Galveston Hurricane devastated areas from Puerto Rico to eastern Canada. This disaster cost over $30 million and damaged one-third of the city, including 2,636 houses, 1,500 acres of shoreline, and 16 ships anchored in the Galveston harbor. Sadly, 6,000 to 8,000 people lost their lives, making this the deadliest hurricane in U.S. history. Because of the storm surge, flying debris, and flooding, 10,000 to 12,000 people were injured. These innocent people were only given 1 day in advance to board up their homes and evacuate, because the National Weather Service didn't have as advanced tracking systems as we have today. Today, severe weather such as tropical storms and hurricanes are tracked using equipment from the National Hurricane Center, NHC. The NHC uses satellite and radar imageries to forecast the track, intensity, size, structure, and other components of a hurricane to warn the public of what kind of storm is coming. Hurricanes begin as tropical storms over warmer oceans such as the Pacific and Atlantic. As moisture evaporates, it rises until gigantic amounts of moist, heated air are twisting high in the atmosphere. The spiraling mass of air begins to form an eye, a relatively peaceful center of the hurricane. As the storm keeps pulling more and more moisture from the warm ocean below, the storm becomes bigger and stronger. The more moisture evaporated into the spiraling atmosphere, the stronger and larger the hurricane. Fun fact, hurricane-like storms west of the international date line are called typhoons. If this disaster happened today, I predict that the overall cost of damage will be much lower. I think this because the National Hurricane Center has advanced their tracking technologies to now forecast components such as storm surge, size, and intensity. Acquiring this information will cause for citizens to make building enhancements to lessen the cost from building damage. The number of injuries and deaths after the Galveston hurricane were very high. But I predict if this disaster were to happen today, that number would decrease. The amount of injuries and deaths would decrease because of new technology such as cell phones. Cell phones were first used in 1975 to contact people while you were away from home. The use of cell phones would decrease the amount of deaths by allowing people to discuss evacuation routes and use the internet to get updates on intensity and location of the storm. After the Galveston hurricane hit, the citizens of Galveston invested in a 6-mile-long safety wall along the shore to protect shoreline homes from major damage caused by storm surge. I predict that because of this wall, the amount of damages to buildings would be significantly lower. The Galveston seawall was challenged by a hurricane in 1915 that was about the same severity of the Galveston hurricane. The damage to the coast along the wall was lower than before. Therefore, the amount of damage would be less if this disaster were to occur today. Back in 1900, the United States didn't have a reliable tracking system of their own and didn't even know the Galveston hurricane was coming until it was spotted in Miami, Florida. Today, we have advanced satellite and radar tracking systems to prepare ourselves for the storms. The National Hurricane Center was created in 1965. With that, a new forecasting system that tracked intensity, size, storm surge, wind speed, and other components of a hurricane. This newer tracking system warns the public about the storm and provides information on whether or not to evacuate. It helps with the loss of life and damage to cities by informing citizens to either evacuate or stay and board up their homes. I believe that tracking systems can be advanced even further by providing the public with a longer evacuation time. If the hurricanes are tracked quicker, it will allow more evacuation time, providing the public with more time to board up their homes and reach safety. Fun fact, special weather forecasting airplanes are sent into the eyes of hurricanes to measure the wind speed along the eye's wall. According to tshaonline.org, the damage of the Galveston hurricane was so horrific, the citizens of Galveston were caught off guard because of the lack of evacuation warnings. In today's technology, we have more advanced evacuation warnings, so less deaths, lower damage costs, and a lower amount of buildings would be destroyed.